Tiki-Tiki, Part 1. Have you ever felt like someone was standing behind you? Not just a fleeting feeling, but something sinister, cold, that sends chills crawling down your spine. You turn around, and no one's there, but the feeling lingers, burrowing into the back of your mind like a sharp splinter, making you doubt yourself. Maybe your mind is just playing tricks on you. Well, Thomas didn't believe in things like that. He didn't believe in the supernatural at all. Ghosts, demons, curses. All nonsense for gullible people in cheap horror movies. He saw himself as a rational man with solid principles. But one night, that certainty wavered, and if he'd known how it would all end, perhaps he would have never opened that door. It all started in a run-down bar on the outskirts of town, a grimy place with cracked leather booths and dim lighting, where the air reeked of smoke and stale beer. Thomas was sitting at a table with some acquaintances, half listening as one of them shared some urban legend. He was about to tune out when two words caught his attention. Birch Street Alley. What a load of crap. Thomas scoffed, raising his beer to his lips. You haven't heard? Chimed in Eric, a guy notorious for spinning scary stories. They say a few people have gone missing there in the past few months. Not just disappeared, they were found. Well, not exactly whole. Just another dumb story, Thomas muttered, shaking his head. Same old nonsense. Oh yeah? Eric leaned forward, lowering his voice. They say she lives in that alley. She? Thomas raised an eyebrow. Tiki-Tiki, Eric said with a grim smile. Ever heard of her? Thomas couldn't help but chuckle. You actually believe in that crap? Oh, so you're smarter than everyone, huh? Eric crossed his arms with a smug grin. Why don't you go check it out if you're so brave? Maybe I will, Thomas shot back, not really thinking about the consequences. The night was cold and windy. Thomas stood at the corner of Birch Street, staring down the shadowy mouth of the alley. A flickering streetlight barely cut through the dense fog, curling along the pavement. The alley was narrow, wedged between two old brick buildings. The windows were boarded up, and a broken drain pipe dripped murky water into a grimy puddle. Just a dark alley, Thomas told himself. He took a step forward. At first, nothing seemed unusual. A few old crates lined the wall and empty bottles littered the pavement. But the further he walked, the stronger the feeling grew. Like unseen eyes were fixed on him. He turned around, nothing but darkness behind him. Yet that feeling, it clung to him like cold sweat on his back. As Thomas took a few more steps, something scraped softly against the asphalt. He froze. Who's there? He called out, trying to keep his voice steady. Silence. Then, from somewhere behind him came a faint sound. Tick. 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 Thomas spun around. Nothing. Just the empty alley, shadows, and the distant glow of the streetlight. Cursing under his breath, he turned to leave, quickening his pace. Tick. 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 Now the sound was coming from the side, as if someone were moving parallel to him, just behind the wall. Who's there? Thomas shouted, his voice unsteady. A shadow flickered across the brick wall, a figure, vague, unnaturally fast. Thomas bolted. When he burst back onto the street, the cold air hit his face like a slap. Yet, the feeling didn't fade. It clung to him, sinking its icy fingers deep into his chest. He tried to forget that night. Tried to convince himself he'd just had too much to drink, that his mind had conjured something that wasn't really there. But the strange feeling wouldn't leave. Whenever he walked down the street, he felt unseen eyes following him. Sometimes he heard faint footsteps behind him. And one night, just as he was drifting off to sleep, he clearly heard that familiar sound right outside his window. Tick, tick, tick. End of part 1.